Thank you so much. Here we go, Beatdown. Last match of the day for day 2. Can't believe we're already here. And we got Team Oplon and, of course, Misfits Premier to end it off. But into the draft we go here, ladies and gentlemen. Jace, Twisted Fate, taken away here from Team Oplon. The response will be that Caitlyn as well as that Vex. Finally.
Finally, someone is listening. Somebody's been watching. They've been listening to us, Austin. Like, it is, dude. What were we just talking about it before going in? 6 games, 100% win rate when she actually manages to get through. So now we're just seeing it taken out. The rest of the other bans, they make a lot of sense. Jace, TF Gwen, usually never seen on the same side being banned, but Oplon not interested in dealing with any of those side lane problems.
That's right. And well, I'm sure also that Vex ban coming into the fact that they did lose to it yesterday as well. So Misfits just want to get it out. But Jinx is going to be the very first pick. High priority on a lot of the bot laners that we do have here. We know what Jinx is capable of doing. We've seen it on the day, a hyper carry that you love to be able to get resources into.
Right, and it just seems like a lot of the time we're seeing the Jinx Jhin handshake going through here, although usually it's blue side seems to be prioritizing Jhin a lot, but interestingly enough, I feel like that's not what we'll see from Misfits Premier, not only because Jinx is on the blue side, but also because of the fact that, look, this is Woolite we're talking about here. Dude's an incredible player. The only returning member to this roster was still there when they won last summer, beating K-Corp 3-2. So he's a player that they clearly want to invest a lot in, continue putting resources into, and there it is. We're seeing the Aphelios run back, which I'm really happy about. I think last game already going there for Misfits' favor. I still think Oplon have a pretty solid comp for themselves here, and it makes a lot of sense. When you consider what Misfits are banning, you want to get rid of LeBlanc, who can kind of bypass the front line. You want to get rid of Syndra, who can stun the front line and make it easier for you to basically move forward and approach Oplon.
Absolutely. Mid laner's taken away, top laner's taken away on the other side for Team Oplon. So what do you want to get yourself here? Victor would certainly be a great pick to get. I mean, there's a lot of mid laners taken off of the board. We know what Victor is capable of here, Beatdown, and that is going to be another massive carry picked up for Misfits.
Dude, you love that. Chayek is definitely a strong player in the mid lane. You want to give him something like this so that he can be able to pop off here. And I mean, fair enough. You're not going to do a whole lot in the early game. We talked about it. You need some Hex Core upgrades before you can really start to push that mid priority. But into the late game, he's going to do a lot of damage.
So I'm guessing Seraphine in the mid lane potentially here for us. This is not something that we have seen in a very long time. Peng is going to be piloting this champion here for us, Beatdown. There's a lot of expectations on him. He's one of those younger players coming into the league. He did not have the best showing yesterday on the Syndra, but I will chalk that up to the fact that the team as a whole didn't. Well, it is time, ladies and gentlemen. That is our lineup, and here is our last game of the day for day number 2, Team Oplon, Team Misfits Premier going head-to-head, both currently 0-1, so someone is guaranteed a dub on day 2.
Really nice for them in this matchup here, and we're going to see who has to take that bullet here. I think Misfits Premier, we do agree, especially based on the fact that they played Carmine Corp yesterday and looked pretty good, are probably more favored into this matchup. But I like what Oplon have done for themselves here. They didn't look good yesterday, and I think part of that is chalked up to the fact that they got a less than favorable draft. I think this time around that is a little different. When you think about Seraphine, when you think about Ornn, the way they enable teams to play in the late game, the scaling they offer, the healing, everything in between is going to really set up Tiger for success. This is the Tiger show, Austin. It might not be in the early game, but this Jinx, it has to come online for this one to really work when you think about setup tools.
Yeah, Tiger been around for quite a bit of time here. Both junglers going to be on opposite sides of the map, starting on the blue, and you're already seeing Irrelevant saying, hey, how you doing, buddy? You want to walk up? You want those minions? I bet you do, but you're going to have to trade if you want them. Irrelevant, though, does use the Counter-Strike, which means that he's not going to be able to stay there unless he wants to continue to tank up a bit of the minion wave, but he's going to put on the pressure. This is exactly what you expect. Of course, this was a counter pick, so Irrelevant does need to do a lot of this here on the Jax in order to get himself a lead.
Interestingly enough, we are going to see the Conqueror come through on Irrelevant, even though Lethal Tempo is really popular. And the same thing from Woolite, actually, interesting enough, favoring that bit of sustain it gets when you stack up Conqueror all the way. And we'll see how that one benefits. Considering how scrappy these team fights are going to be, I actually don't think that is the worst decision, despite the fact that I am a very, very heavy Lethal Tempo shell at the moment.
not too bad of a rune, eh, Pizza?
That's all right. I like it.
Sure, some players in store like you have other choice words for that rune.
Hey, I mean, I also have choice words, if I'm being honest.
Oh, well, we'll see plenty of lethal tempo going forward throughout the day, as well as in the future. But we'll see both junglers also start to make their way to the opposite sides of the map. Irrelevant's been able to stack a massive wave. Darlic will be free to try and clean this up. A lot of eyes again. Back over to mid lane. Pang, I mentioned it, but he is one of the rookies coming into the league. He is playing the Seraphine. Just needs to be able to get to the later portions of the game. And if you can, we know how devastating it can be. You have all of this healing power, all of the shielding. Fantastic to facilitate around something like a Jinx that we have just seen in so many big moments so far in the league.
That's right, it ain't much, but it's certainly honest work playing the Seraphine in that mid lane to enable the rest of your team healing, shielding, and let's be real, the Encore still can have a lot of impact here, and that's the thing I'm kind of looking towards on the side of Oplon. I think that's going to be big for team fight setup. You can lead it into that Call of the Forge God, and that's how I kind of expect some of these fights to go through here. We have Brunez. Might have been able to, I think, dodge out on that ward. He just ends up going for a full clear. We have the Scuttle trade coming through, and Tinks is just going to go to the top lane. I think it's for a wave escort. I don't know if we're diving or level 4 here.
Yeah, that would be a bit ambitious, especially with the Heck Room with no reset just yet. So just going to be there to make sure that he's okay to go for some of these aggressive trades, and also, like you said, just make sure he gets the wave in. But there's great vision setup. You can see it in the top side right now. The Jax is safe to be able to get that push in without worrying about a gank. Vander going to try to step up a little bit, force Oplon away, considering they don't know where this Heck Room is. He could be anywhere on the map, but he's going to take that timing, get himself some upgraded boots so that he's going to be a little bit faster here on the rotations. Also going to have a little bit less cooldown with the Lucidity boots. But Brunez, let's see what he's got in store for us. Maybe thinking about a lane gank in case Irrelevant does overstep with a trade.
All it's going to take is one forward leap stride, and Brunez is going to go in. That could be the angle.
Irrelevant must know something's up, but it is the flash, so that is massive. You get rid of the flash. That's going to relieve a lot of pressure from Darlic in the top side on the Ornn.
That is easy. He shows up, spends a couple of seconds there, and he gets a key summoner out. Now Brunez can go. His camps are spawning, and honestly, that camp, or rather the ward on the camp there on the Gromp, didn't end up revealing him too. So it's a lot of value. All you can really get from Misfits is Dragon number 1. It will be a Hextech Dragon, and again, for the most part, we've been seeing teams who stack up these Dragon Souls find themselves a very healthy victory.
Woolite's going to be here helping out Tinks, and that Dragon should be secured without a problem. And there it is. Smite comes down. First Dragon of the game will be good. And we'll see exactly where the junglers start to position from, both now having resets on the map, looking for Brunez of all people to probably get at least a little bit aggressive in the early stages. That's what we expect with the Lee Sin, but at that same note, you have this option to sit back and farm if you so wish. Try to get to the later parts of the game. That is certainly an option. Tiger looks like he's going to do the same. Try to push out this bot wave so that he can now match the reset of Woolite.
Yeah, it's a big deal so far. A lot of farm. That's actually a really big wave that Woolite is going to come to pick up. And I think overall that means we do have a CS lead in his favor. I mean, when it comes to like the battle of hyper carries, I think Jinx and Aphelios can both offer a lot of DPS later into the game. So I think whoever can get a lead is going to be able to further increase that impact here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some moves from Tinks to the bottom side of the map. Speaking of moves, Austin.
Oh, the wave is set up so good. They took the flash away earlier, but Irrelevance finds a 1v3 outplay, will take down Darlic. He decides not to use the flash, and that means that Irrelevant actually gets the first blood.
Man, that is, I can't even express, that is the best case scenario by a country mile, Austin. You managed to go 1 for 1. You're going to lose out on a bit of farm, but look at that. They didn't actually quite shove it into the turret, so he's going to be able to walk back. That is a positive play, if you ask me, for Irrelevant in that top side. And because Absolute shows, look who's in trouble. It's Tiger.
You're not allowed to come here,
Yeah,
Tiger. That is an illegal move if I've ever seen it. And now, will it be punished? They can't really find the mark, but it's a turret. Flash on his blade.
Level 6.
What a play. Tinks is too far forward. Encore connects, but Woolite has a very nice timed cleanse. Is the fight over? Oplon looking for an angle in. Brunez comes over the wall, but he's not close just yet. Vander lands the flay, stops Team Oplon from continuing, and they're only going to lose 1.
A lot of summoners from Pang's TP. Really nice play coming out there from the mid laner of Oplon, really helping his team out, helping his Jinx more than anything else. So you got summoners traded, means that Woolite is in a little bit more of a precarious position in the next couple of minutes here. If we see an attempt made at a gank or a play made before they come back up, that's a way Oplon could look to shut down Wu-Lei, one of the, you'd argue, the carry players of this team.
Pushing in the mid-wave now. Victor's starting to get just a little bit stronger, stacking up that tier, but Peng doing the exact same. We'll be able to clear that wave without a problem. Nice roam, nice rotation, using that TP correctly. Brunus will be spotted out on a ward. Irrelevant wants to make sure that he knows exactly where he is. That Dragon Rage is available. Brunus has not been able to find an opportunity to use that ultimate just yet, but we'll keep a close eye on it. And on the other side, Tinks, of course, now has that onslaught of shadows. So lots of ultimates to play with, lots of playmaking potential in the works for us. Darlik here is just going to have to suffer for the time being. He's just got to survive. That is basically his only goal. The wave is slowly pushing in as he starts the last hit here for us, and as long as he can survive, he is going to be in an okay position to set up team fights a little bit later.
I think the most interesting thing to me right now is Tinks. You see that double Ruby Crystal? Makes me think he's building that Bomby Cinder and going for the tanky build. Usually, that's something we saw a lot of the early months of last year in Season 11, and even as late as Season 10, I believe, where you saw a lot of tank Hecarim coming out here, and it was a very powerful tool. But then people started to favor that Divine Sunder a little more. But I think when you have damage carries like the Victor, even Jax, Aphelios for sure, I think it seems like Tinks feels that he can just take this tanky build, go for the sustain, survive, and all he has to do is displace people. His team will do the rest.
Things going to start it up, get the Rift Herald going, and does have the rotation. Vander is here to help and assist with the play. It looks like everyone is cut on a reset here for the side of Team Oplon, so this is probably the perfect opportunity to move in. You don't have to worry about anyone contesting this whatsoever. You have the top push, you have the mid push, nice macro play, and a big objective now available here to use that Rift Herald for any of these plates.
We talked about it. Onslaught of Shadows is ready to go for Tinks. If he wants to set up a dive, that is one of the best tools to be able to do so in the game. So if an opportunity is found, if they're able to get it done, that could be an easy way to secure yourself a first turret blood. And that extra gold would do wonders for Misfits Premier to try and accelerate themselves to these later parts of the game.
I think it's key to note for everyone that might just be tuning in, Team Oplon, one of the newer teams that we do have in the league here, beat down, getting promoted, from LFL Division 2, looking to try and get the job done in the actual LFL. A lot of the team, of course, being shaken up coming in, but this has been a squad that has lots of players with potential, I think, in the mid lane in specific. We're looking at Peng, who just has a lot of expectations around him, has had a lot of big conversations. It's just a matter of, can he live up to those expectations?
Yeah, and actually, speaking of expectations,
I'm gonna have to hold that thought for now as Tinks goes all the way in, but has to use the ultimate to get himself out. Chaos Storm comes down. It's going to push Team Oplon back, but Tinks now re-engaging, finding the angle to set up the kill on Absolute, and that will be a pickup. What's the rocket? Just barely going wide as Tinks gets himself out to safety.
Yeah, Tinks probably wiping a little sweat off his forehead here, but very positive play in favor of Misfits Premier. They are making things happen, not in an opportunity, or rather in a position to drop the Rift Herald just yet, but they still have a lot of time on it overall, and this is great. They are developing this gold lead. They're really starting to come online here. We do see that Bomby Cinder completed, and we're not even at first Mythics yet, which is going to be a big deal. Once Victor gets that Crown of the Shattered Queen, he becomes a lot harder to kill. It's a big spike in terms of his damage. Then they can really start to look to make plays here. Chayak, worth noting, doesn't have the TP. He is running the Ghost, so he has the ability to kite in and out of these fights. It's all about the fighting for him.
All about the fighting. And now all about a couple of resets. Team Oplon getting back out on the map here once again here for us. No objectives to fight for besides that dragon. That would be the second one of the game if Misfits decide to move in for it. Now that they have at least a bit of tools to work with in the mid lane push, that could be an option, but you can see the pings going down on the mini-map there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It looks like it has been started up, and that is exactly the case. We'll see if Brunus actually wants to try to come over and make an appearance.
Not sure he can. We'll take a look at the health. It is halfway, so there is an angle where they can fight this. He's about to have the Dragon's Rage ready to go. Onslaught of Shadows nowhere close to being done. He steals it.
Brunus gets in there for the smite, and now it's a chance to also win the fight. The encore, it's going to be massive. It hits two. 1-for-1 trades across the board, but Tiger has entered the fight. His moment to shine. He just needs to get on a target. The zap's going to connect, but Jayak answers back with the Chaos Storm. Challenge me, will you? But he's got no one with them. Brunez has solo killed the support. Vander's down, bobbing and weaving, not getting hit by the Sonic Wave. Everyone makes it out, and it's Brunez who takes the objective.
Man, that was a nice steal from Brunez. It could have been a lot worse here. Nobody ends up falling, I think. It's mostly just everybody ends up walking away from this one. They're going to lick their wounds and back it off, but this is a big deal because Misfits, they prevent the dragon stacking from coming through, and now if we get a Dragon Soul, it's going to be very late into the game here, so that is clutch, and we're going to see it happen in this replay. I mean, Chayek, he's doing his best to try and keep people at bay, but there is a real world where they turn onto him, so he couldn't actually walk that far, and because the damage was just so good, they did end up getting a kill actually on the side of Oplon as well. It is just a really great fight for them overall.
It is, and this is where Chayek, I think, feels like, all right, I can zone off the carries, but he's got no one with him in this moment. But that fancy feat you talked about, Pang flashing over the wall, and then Chayek also dodging out on the Sonic Waves. Make sure that no one else is going to end up dropping down. But as we switch back, we can see it. A Rift Herald has been dropped in the bot lane, meaning that that will be a tower going over. Absolute wanted to get in there, but Vander was winning by with the Lantern.
Much needed injection of gold into Woolite's pocket as well. That's going to be the first turret of the game. Plate's still up too. So that's a nice chunk of gold he's about to be able to spend. You got to imagine first Mythic is coming through for this Aphelios. And Woolite, he's going the Kraken Slayer, Austin. He says, I got my Thresh. That is all I need. I don't need the shield from Shieldbow. I don't need the movement from Gale Force. He's out for blood.
Well, Tempo's starting to pick up a tad bit, making sure that the supports are roaming around the map here. Seeing it again from Vander. He did it in a really excellent way yesterday up against KC, trying to do it now on a pick that he can be at least a little bit better on for as far as setting up engages. But into the top lane they will go. A lot of members in this top lane. It looks like it might just be a full-on lane swap, which makes a lot of sense. You already got the bot tower, so why not bring the Aphelios and the Thresh up top to start hammering away here on that tower. But the lane assignment's already set up. Tiger's well aware of it. The veteran player in position to make sure that he's also matching.
The top swap makes so much sense too, with the fact that one, your Thresh and Aphelios will get there first. It gets you priority on this top side for the second Herald. That's going to be up in about a minute's time. So that's something you could play for as well. For Misfits, end up taking down more towers, just accelerate your gold lead that much further here. And I like this from Oplon. They just have their support, their jungle, move to the middle of the map here. And instead of sending someone bot, Darlic, he's actually going to come up here. We have a full 5 commitment from Oplon for this Herald, potentially to see if they can punish Woolite, but he sees it from a mile away. He is going to back off.
Ward's going down, everyone doing the dance. Who will make the first move? Who's going to misstep? Those are the questions, and maybe we'll find out the answers. Pang's going to lose the crown passive, so now going to be a little bit more vulnerable in case someone does get on top of him. Tinks on a pink ward, finds himself in quite the nice position, but going to leave it here as Misfits move in as 4. Brunez, I dare you to take that one, Misfits says, as 4 other players are here ready for it, but no one's going to be able to set up an engage just yet, just staring each other down, but this could be it. Woolite sets up the snare, and now Chayek from the side does get a good amount of damage in, but this is just all about the setup. However, Misfits not feeling confident to go for the Rift Herald just yet.
And I like the timing too, Irrelevant. He's already on the move because they did it. Darlic was a little slow answering him in that bottom lane. Now he's here to fight, but you have all 5 members of Misfits. Do you want to walk into them is the question.
Kick! What a setup! And that is going to be Chayek down. Following it up with a second team Oplon. They are here to fight. They are here to engage again as the Gall of the Forge God sets up the fight. Pang is going to find 2. Team Oplon will strike at 16 minutes, and now they can take the Rift.
That's a beautiful fight coming from our second newest team here in the LFL, being able to find this pick on Misfits. What a team who, one, has been part of this league for such a long time, but also has had such stellar performances. Finalists, both tournaments last year, winner of the summer. And Oplon are taking it to him, Austin.
Taking it to him. These encores have been setting up so many of these fights here. And look at Pang. What a bounce back from yesterday here. Beats down 3-0-2 on this Seraphine. A pick that I don't think any of us were really expecting to come in right now with the meta that we currently have in the mid lane. But showing us that, hey, this can still work. If I have practice on it, if I feel comfortable on it, we can make this work in the composition. And so far, so good. But the Dragon, it is on the table. Both teams currently have 1 apiece. They are class Cloud Dragons from here on out. And with the win Team Oplon just came up with in the top side, they will be able to move in here with the advantage it potentially started up.
Yeah, the bright side for Misfits, you have Irrelevant, who is still a very strong side laner. That Divine Sunder has been complete, so I don't think he can 1v1 Darlic anymore. Not to say I'm not sure he ever could have, but now it's like extra impossible. And if you look on the side of Misfits here over as a whole, it's as you say, they can't go for this dragon. They just have to index all the members that they have, for the most part, into this top side, hoping they can make a play on the Darlic, stealing some camps, setting up as much vision, because we have Baron coming up in a few minutes' time. In fact, they have a play brewing in this mid lane, but I think Pang snips it out.
Well, they do have this Rift Herald, and this Rift Herald is going to be pretty important here at B-Town. You don't have any towers on the map so far if you are Team Oplon, despite them winning a couple of the last fights. It means that Misfits actually do hold on to the gold lead overall due to knocking down quite a few of these towers in the bot lane and the top lane. So Rift Herald likely could shake that up a little bit, would also open up the map, make things easier for these minion waves to shove all the way in, so you don't have to constantly catch these waves in the side lane. It's just a matter of where they want to position it around. You take a look at where the gold is currently on, and Pang, of course, 3-0. You have 2-0 right now. Brunis could be a potential option in the mid lane, as it will be Pang just setting up, making sure that he is here to clear the waves out. Meanwhile, Darlic, he's just got to suffer with the side lanes. He has just got to survive. That is really the only goal here for him. He is simply meant to set up the team fights here, B-Town.
Yeah, I think the bright side here, too, for Oplon is that you know that if Chayek is in the bottom side of the map, he's running Ghost, no TP. So this is where you can get a little bit aggressive. You can push the vision line that much further, because you do have a temporary 4 versus 5, and you can see it. They are trying to push, they are harassing Tinks in his own jungle, but the recall has come through, and Irrelevant actually has an interesting angle if he chooses to move into the river here.
Everyone grouping up in the mid lane, but Tinks is going to go for a bit of a reset, which means that Misfits are not going to be interested in taking any fights. They're just going to be here to make sure that the push, if it were to come through here from Team Oplon, or if they decided to drop that Rift Trail, they would be here to match it out. No objectives until about 3 minutes on that next dragon. The Baron will be up. I can't imagine either one of these teams are going to try to get into that yet. However, I would say overall this is really good news for Team Oplon right now. They are stalling this game out here, Beatdown. We've already talked about the Jinx, we talked about the Seraphine and the Ornn. The later they go, the more powerful they get. So if they can just continue to stall things out, they find themselves in a decent position as we get to these later team fights and just later into the game overall.
Right, and the big thing to look out for if you're on the side of Misfits is Brunis. When it comes to the actual team fighting, he doesn't have to do as much on his own. He doesn't have to carry as much of the burden on his own.
That's right.
And that leaves him very free to look for some very curious and interesting Lee Sin angles here. And we've seen earlier on the day, shout out Chio, for what those angles can do. And if he can find a pick, if he can find a kick onto someone like Chayek or Woolite, the big damage dealers, that's an easy fight win. Despite this gold lead, we see that's still in favor of Misfits Premier.
Well, that big Rift Herald we kept talking about finally is going to be used. It was coming down to the timer, and it was just about the perfect time for Team Oplon to pull the trigger on the objective as a couple of resets came through there for Misfits, but Darlic could be in a bit of trouble. The death sentence is going to connect. The CC just continues to follow, but Darlic manages to get away. Things go all the way in. Low health bars across the board right now for the side of Team Oplon. They're able to find one, but could they get Pang?
Yeah,
this could be the shutdown. That will be the death sentence. Unfortunately, Vander's going to claim the shutdown, but nonetheless, Misfits find 2.
And it's 2 members that are really facilitating the team fight of Team Oplon. You know what that means, Austin? It's Baron time. Misfits Premier are going to run straight to it. The thing is, Brunez is still alive. He's still on the map. He stole the dragon. Now, can he steal this?
The smite is just about to come up here. Brunis, could he make a big play? Irrelevant wants to zone him away. Safeguard now going back in. That will be the counter-strike on cooldown. Brunis, could he find the window to get in? No, he cannot. He's shredded. He's taken down. Darlic re-enters with the TP, but it will be the dragon, or rather the Baron secured. Absolute needs to run for his life, but he will be able to get away. Irrelevant has no mana to make that jump happen, and now Darlic will also, unfortunately, go down once again. Misfits, they get the Baron, and they'll claim a couple more kills.
And this is a huge spike in gold for Misfits Premier. Their Baron bonus has already gone up to 2,500. They pick up so many kills, and look at the lead they have for themselves here, Austin. 6,000 gold, just like that. It was incremental. It was bits and pieces here and there, and off this huge team fight, they managed to get it done, and it sucks because it's Darlic. He just mistimed the Bellows breath. That's really all it came down to. So the Aphelios root from the Graviton did allow him to get caught. No amount of healing from the Jinx, from the Seraphine would prevent his downfall.
And there's been a lot of synergy also between Vander and Tinks when they're setting up these engages. As soon as that Onslaught of Shadows comes in, make sure that Lantern is there to take him out to safety. He's not getting hit by the tower. He's not getting locked up and CC'd. It has been fantastic up until this point. And then as we see through the rest of the replay, they just are able to make sure they get on Brunas and they're not flipping the Baron.
Yeah, and then we go to the live screen too. We can see a big fight going on here. Nice insect.
We can. That's going to be irrelevant. Bit of trouble. Tinks again going in. Death Sentence going to connect. Brunas is down. They're going to find the top laner too. Darlic is going to drop. Now just 3 players for Team Oplon as they are forced to try and scurry away. Pang's going to eat some damage. He can no longer go toe-to-toe. And with this Baron still active, Misfits, they might be able to break open the base.
I think they're going to. You still got 2 members on 20-second timers. Baron buff ready to go. And look at Boolight. He's here, and he is ready to play 3, 1, and 5 on the Aphelios. So this is the carry performance that we were expecting from this player. So much time in the LFL, and so many good performances to show for it here. Today's just another one.
Misfits break open the base. They get the inhibitor. They get the reset. There's even a dragon there on the map if they want to come back and snatch that up. That would be their second one, of course. Brunas being able to steal one of them away earlier in the game is the reason we don't see more. But you take a look at those goldies right now. Look at Woolite.
Wowza.
Look at Aphelios. We wanted to see him played by one of these stronger AD carries in the league. We wanted to see how he would fit in with the rest currently in the mix for the meta. And at the moment, Woolite is certainly impressing.
Yeah, you could say that. He is in a very strong position right now, and all the rest of the team needs to do is just set him up. And the thing is, Chayek's really starting to come online too. He's got 2 items. He went Ludens instead of the Crown of the Shattered Queen, which means, yes, he is a little squishier, he's a little more susceptible to dives, but when his team is doing all the aggressing, you can afford to spend on the burst, and it's going to reflect in the damage he does in the coming fights.
Misfits now turn all their attention to the top lane as those super minions are going to start to pour into the bot side, but the Baron has just run out, so they won't have the Baron to assist with the push any further. Irrelevant. He's just being annoying, but he's going to be okay. The Lantern is there. Vander's always in the right place in the right time whenever some of his teammates want to get aggressive. Now, just about every single lane is going to have a pushing power here with the minion waves also following, but it looks like they're not going to try to continue with that Baron going down. They might just shift over and see if they can grab another dragon.
And I love that. The fact that despite the aggression and the successful plays they have, Misfits Premier, they are reserving themselves. They're not overcommitting, and we've seen teams get punished even on today. It was Mirage who ended up winning their game due to an overcommitment from K-Corp, and we're seeing this sort of thing actually not happen to Misfits. They know the win cons, they know what they need to do, and they're not in a rush, Austin. It's only 25 minutes. There are still dragons to collect. If they want the soul, they can take their time.
Yeah, plenty of options here. Pang will be able to get his Zhonya's. That is going to help dramatically with some of these engages that have been coming in. And you really do need to find a way to kite out in these fights. Make sure that Tiger is going to be enabled. He is still working on that second item that did just come through on that last back. So LDR is going to assist quite a bit here with this Victor, Thresh, and Jax to start shredding on through. But resets now for Woolite. That might be enough for his third item. We'll see here in a second. If so, he finds himself a full item up, and there it is. Infinity Edge is now in the bank, is now in his pocket, and that is going to be so much more damage as they continue to go through the game.
Yeah, this is a strong max stats right now. Woolite is just so fed out of his mind, Austin, and now at this point you can see Tinks. He's inching forward. He says, Brunas, I dare ya, I double dog dare ya. Press Q again, see what happens to you, and he's obviously wisely just going to back off as all the pressure is there for Misfits, Premier, and Oplon. Man, they're going to need a miracle, maybe several, to be able to actually find themselves a way back into this game. The big thing is you still have team fight tools, you still have that call, the Forge God, a potential insect, and the Encore from Peng's Seraphine. The question is, though, where's the big team fight? Where is the big wombo combo?
Yeah. That is going to be the big question. You need a big wombo combo or a massive kick to take down Woolite, take down Shayak as well, throw them into the mix so that you can burst them out. We'll see if anything like that can happen. Brunes might have a tall order ahead of them, but just continuing to make sure they take away all the camps. Meanwhile, Irrelevant has also been pushing up this bot lane. That inhibitor might be coming up here very, very soon here for us, but we take a look at that top right. Timer here beats down. All of this control is, of course, leading to the inevitable Baron that's going to spawn here for us in the next couple of seconds, and now it looks like Misfits are in a position where they might start it up right away.
They can. Oplon, you can't do anything about it. Maybe show a Jinx Rocket once you realize somebody is on there and hope you can steal, but you can't let this one happen. Try to push Irrelevant because you know he's on this bottom side of the map. Try and get something, but this Baron is not going to be it here. They have to hope that they can weather the siege because Misfits are coming to break down the base.
That gold lead is just absolutely massive. I mean, it comes back to the fact that you only have one tower. Team Oplon, they were skirmishing very well, playing around some of the early objectives well, but more towards the mid and late game macro. It feels like they have just been stuck on their side of the map. They have not really been able to cross this 50-yard line whatsoever. But Misfits now are back out on the map. You can see all those stopwatches are picked up and available. This very well could be the last fight if Misfits can find the angle.
Man, it's so tough here. Tanks, he's looking for whoever he can, and look at Brunes. I don't think they spotted him out. He gets gold, that's huge!
Big kick, and they follow it up with the Encore. That will be Shayak down.
The
Big
Forge
pick
God
defeated. Irrelevant will be exhausted, but Absolute is at the front of it all, will be taken very, very low. On the other side, Darlick, he's trying to zone off the rest of the team, but Irrelevant is just absolutely going rogue in the base, taking on multiple members, finds another one, and now it's going to be a 1-for-2. Misfits still with the numbers.
Okay, I can't express how big of a fight this was for Oplon. Insane kick coming through. Takes.
That's going to be Tiger, has to cut away, uses the Gale Force, and will be able to survive. Still hope for Team Oplon. What a flash from Tiger.
Oh, he's in trouble.
He reacts beautifully, and now it's a chance to get excited. Tinks is caught up in the minions, nowhere to go, but Woolite can answer back. He's got plenty of damage to offer himself as he chunks down Tiger, gets him extremely low. Not enough to finish off the kill, but it's another inhibitor taken in the mid lane.
Still, this is a pretty, not quite best case scenario, but a really great fight overall for Oplon. I got to give so much credit to Brunes. That angle he took to get rid of Shayak, that's what we were talking about. Get rid of a carry. Give yourself the numbers advantage. They even committed the Encore to make sure he died. And that means that you do have the numbers advantage. Of course, Misfits gold lead means that's basically even. So that's why you do end up trading in this. And look at Brunes. This was beautiful.
Yeah, just waiting here. All right, guys, I'm setting it up. And then it's Peng chaining it with that Encore, immediately beat down.
Yeah, and there it is. It just leads to an easy shutdown coming through. And look at Darlick for a second. Give props to this guy because Woolite, we keep talking about it, fed out of his mind. And look how he's been unable to participate in this fight in its entirety. Had Woolite been allowed to auto attack and actually take part, the game would have been over. He would have ripped them up, and that's it. Misfits would have won.
A little bit of gold going over to Team Oplon to try and get them to the later portions of the game here. That's another look at how Tiger was able to kite this one out and then getting excited. This was almost the moment, but what a flash there and reaction from Tiger to make sure he was not locked up with the CC.
Right, and at the end here, they can't quite get takes. Dark Passage, very cool. Vander ends up saving his jungler there. And as we come back to live here, still a big lead, still so strong. Our Misfits Premier, they have the team fight tools ready to go. Austin, they can push for the end here with or without this Baron buff.
They have 12,000 gold here in their pocket ahead of Team Oplon. Oh, Brunes, I don't know how many big kicks you got left in you, but you're going to need another, it feels like, as The second inhibitor about to fall. Actually, make that the third. They already got the top one, and now Team Oplon feel the need to engage. Call the force god. Will be able to find a knock-up onto 2. Tinks looking for a window in, but Darlic is stuck at the front, and now the tank is down. Your front line is just falling to pieces. They now flash forward.
Tiger
with the big ultimate. We'll be able to find a second. Brunis just barely escaping, trying to make it into the fountain. Peng will go into the stopwatch, but they have lost a lot of their DPS. Misfits are just toying with their food. They are still 5 members strong, looking to now put the final nails in the coffin. There's the next 2 towers. There is the final play. Team Oplon got nothing left in the tank, and this one should be all wrapped up as they try to get a couple more kills here for KDA.
And that is going to be it. Misfits to 1-1, while Oplon have an unfortunate week 1 here.